Weed for the People podcast, episode 7. We got Wayne here from THC Members Only. We'll get deeper into that. This dude is a G. Again, what we're trying to do here is bring the faces that may be a little bit behind the scenes and what they're doing to promote the culture. Look, I'm a little dressed up today. Shit, I spilled some water on me, but I'm gonna go into a little rant, right? Just 3-day trial with the ABC. And at the end of the day, this is a principle thing, right? So again, that little shop there we just opened the market, maybe we'll make a little money on that, but that bar probably never ever going to be profitable. Not an investment you would ever make. Something we gave to the community because our word to the community was building something down there on the Party on Pine on the 400 block, right? So it's great that Wayne is here today because basically he's been a big part of that. And I want to go through this just a little bit so you can understand how fucked up this is, right? So, I've kind of posted some of this, but I'm just going to kind of dig into the rant here and then just lay it out a little bit. I won't bore everybody with too much details, but the real basics is this. ABC agent, fucking liar. Police, fucking liar. Lawyer, overcharging. The issue, super sus. There's other LBPD members that lied on police reports, right? We know all that. What we've got so far in evidence, and look, I'm happy we had our day in court. At least we got to get it all out. I just testified today. I don't know what it was, 5 hours on the stand. It's really glad to be able to get my story out. Maybe a little exaggeration. Maybe it was 3 or 4. But they came and sent an email 3 days before we opened, right? That's when the hit started. 3 days before Anna's even opens, they send out an email and they're trying to figure out if Anna's is connected to Catalyst and can they fucking pin me up on it, right? So that's where it starts. On July 23rd, 2022, we open Anna's, right? Party on Pine's already going. We're rebuilding the block. And on July 23, 2022, the first day that we opened, their best fucking thinking is to send 3 undercover vice cops. Why the fuck would you do that, right? And then we've caught them lying, right? Zapata says it. Other people say they didn't go to any of the other places on the 400 block. So the idea that they were checking other places is a fucking lie. So anyway, look, they fucked this shit up. They come like 7 times talking about this patio not being zoned in, right? And the reason they fuck it up, this part is actually kind of funny. And, it makes me go back to my paperwork when I try to get the bar license. By the way, opening these stores, same shit. California, the most incompetent motherfuckers work in this state. They sent the wrong paperwork up to Sacramento, which is kind of funny because they sent the wrong paperwork to the LBPD. So the LBPD is working off a premise diagram from next door, which I tried to explain to them on 7 different occasions. They never looked into it. They kept saying the patio was out, right? But in their police reports, they leave all that part out of it. So we got to fight like hell to get these body cameras. They deny it twice in the city of Long Beach. They deny it twice at the ABC. They say we're not in our possession, which is not really what it means. It's possession, custody, or control if they had the ability to get them, right? What we end up doing, we send out 15 subpoenas, we get them. The short version is it eviscerates everything they say. They're huge fucking liars. And like this whole thing is political targeting. I could go point by point on how we prove these motherfuckers lied today in court, right? There's going to be a moment. I'm waiting for the ruling. Let the judge do his thing. I think he was hearing us. I think he was sympathetic to what was going on. But we're going to put together from the transcript, right, what they said and what they did. And we're going to make it real organized. We're probably going to come over the top and we're going to sue LBPD and ABC. And look, was it worth spending 75 fucking grand to defend this case? As a monetary matter, no. But principle is everything in this game. And the other thing you got to fucking put out there in the universe when you're dealing with municipalities and you're dealing with corrupt ass fucking pigs. Sorry for the expression. Not all police, but these motherfuckers, some fake ass pigs. You got to fucking let them know. You can't just take a motherfucker out. We're not going to bend a knee. We took this fighting all the way on our feet. Want to give a shout out to Anna, who's getting her fade on right now. She's usually in the audience sorry, baby, I didn't try to make you a political target. I talked too much shit. But B, that girl's solid, man. She was a trooper, right? I'm a little more used to the combat, but don't get it twisted. She fucking, made it through, was a fucking trooper, stayed strong, held her head high. She's glad it's done. And then the other shout out, fucking Jeff Augustini. This dude is the fucking GOAT of litigators, straight up. We linked up like 10 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, and he's just been, fighting for justice is what I call it, for a long time. So, look, as far as the Anna's case goes, we're waiting on a decision, but there's no doubt it was a political hit and it was corruption. And on that night that they came, the final night, it all I said this in my testimony today, it got manifested as anger because that's how a guy manifests my shit, aggression and anger. But the truth is, I'm really sad because we're trying to do a great thing down there and we're revitalizing the block. And last night I was there eating dinner and what was really fucking meaningful, not to go on too long here, was people were approaching us and going like, yo, go fucking get them. I'm a business owner. I wish I could do the same. Fuck those guys. So like, the other thing is, not to be too grandiose about it. We have a tiny bit of platform and some resources and some know-how how to fucking, smack back on the city. And I think the people support it. And the real, like, as you review the whole thing, it's just a fucking tragedy. Like, yo, man, like if there was something going on, just come tell us. We've never not been cooperative, right? Don't come flex on us. We're only trying to do good. To what end? What are you rooting for? If you're political in Long Beach, you really want that bar to be fucking closed down? I'm just going to blast you 10 times fucking harder. Like, what are you trying to do here? Maybe you got in too deep. Who knows? But I got the fucking receipts. Let me say it again. I got the fucking receipts and a couple fucking pig motherfuckers and an ABC agent. Y'all in my sights. So we'll see how this thing goes down. Anyway, that's a little intro. Let's get into Wayne and his history and everything he does for the industry. I came in contact with Wayne through Party on Pine. Give Nate the credit for being the originator, but Wayne took it up to the next level. So, and I think a lot of the stuff that he does, take Party on Pine, for example, people who come up to me during the party and be like, this is great, man. And, my kind of flip joke, which is actually true. Like, I just show up. I don't really do shit. Like, I do a little bit. So, the real credit goes to Wayne and other people involved in setting it up. So, I want to start out by just, asking, and thanks for coming on and everything. And I do think it's a super important part of the culture that doesn't necessarily get focused on. But tell me a little bit about how you got into the cannabis industry, just your start and how it came to be that you became part of the industry.
Sure. First of all, shout out to Nate for putting us together, putting me in this room.
Yeah, Nate did make the fine. That was good.
And then shout out to Barney for Blueprint. He's the one that kind of put me in front of Catalyst and put me a platform to shine during their Client Appreciation or Patient Appreciation Day back 2 years ago. Well, my name's Wayne. I'm from THC Members Only. I started events about 15 years ago in the corporate event world. Did productions for a long time, and then ended up being one of the VPs of a large company. About 2019, rephrase that. 2006, I became a bud tender. Volunteer.
Cool.
Yeah. Volunteer number 1 at Mother Nature's Remedy in with Van Nuys now. What was Van Nuys? They're moved to Million Hills. So really excited that I was part of the movement after everyone kind of came in. And that was the good times where you brought in packs and you sat there and you smoked it. And you said, nah, that wasn't good. Talked to growers. People got to hang out a lot. The 215 days were a different time for the cannabis industry. But I think my love for the community and the industry grew up from there. I was always the guy that was sitting in the dispensary, reading the books, hanging out, helping out patients, learning about what made cannabis good for these people medicinally. And that's what 215 was about. But I always did events. Back in college, I was kind of the Van Wilder of my college.
I love that movie.
Yeah. It's once I first saw it, I was like, I'm going to do everything that guy did.
Hell yeah.
And I threw every theme party he threw, and it just set my career in my college to the point I was joking with Nate, anytime you gave Wayne a party, it's going out the roof.
Nice.
Yeah, the roof is going to literally go off. So I started my career in the cannabis industry through bud tending, through events. I made my professional career. In 2019, I decided to take a belief in myself and saw what the cannabis industry needed, which was well put together events. Everything was swap meet style. And I went to a bunch of sessions. Shout out to Secret Sesh, Kushstock, Taco Sesh, all these local sessions, Turp Mark. These are all like LA sessions that I attended to. And really got to know the community. Brands that are on shelves today started at those sessions. My friends who were fortunate enough to go legal, like Curated Cannabis, they started at the sessions. And to see these companies become real cannabis, well, not real, but cannabis, recreational cannabis companies makes me feel good because events are what kind of put them in the forefront. And when I met Nate, he had this grandiose idea of what Party on Pine was going to do. And I believed in it. And then I met you and Anna, who is an amazing person. I think I got to shout out my wife, Genevieve. Without our partners, I think we would be way out there. We run wild, I believe. So just having our lionesses at home, making sure that everything's taken care of is important to how we are successful as men. But I got into cannabis events because I attended a sesh, thought this was really cool, bought a couple packs, vend at a sesh, cops flew over, decided never to vend at a sesh again.
Right.
And then just kind of talked to Dr. K of Kushstock and said, hey, I produce events. He said, I need a VIP for my partner, Medicated Barbie. I said, okay, this is what I can do. Put it all together. It's like, well, could you do more? Sure, did more. And this is not paid. This is just wanting to get into the industry, putting my foot in the door.
I love it.
And then got to a point where kind of like our relationship is today, where you trust, right? You know my work, you know how it goes.
Go, dog.
Yeah, right. Here's a baton and run with it. I think everyone's got their lane, and my lane just happened to be cannabis events with a passion in cannabis. I understand the medicinal factors and the recreational factors of cannabis. And the community is something that I've observed for years, and we've matured. So things have to evolve in the cannabis event. And that's where I really like to see the industry today. Moving forward is how it evolves, just as Catalyst has evolved. I've watched you guys since your Connected days. And I had friends that worked for you and people who spoke very highly of you, Elliot. And as you continue to build, I saw more and more heart into it. And then our slogan, Weed for the People, that's been my slogan since day one. Why we grow weed? For the people, for my family. I grew weed so my friend who had cancer didn't have to buy it. And that was a good weed, but it was free. Right. It grew out of my backyard. I taught my grandma how to grow weed. She takes edibles now to help her sleep. And my dad grows weed. Wait, I shouldn't have said that. But yes.
That's right. Nobody's watching it.
He grows weed for me once in a while so I can make tinctures for my family.
Nice.
So weed has been, or cannabis, marijuana has been a big part of my definition of who I am today. And being able to share that in events and bring people together has been a huge passion of mine.
Yeah, so I'd say a few things. One, I think it's really cool when people start out as bud tenders. It's a big advantage. In fact, it's one I wish I shared. And I always brag about, maybe half or so of our HQ having started as bud tenders, because it gives you that perspective that I don't think you could get any other way of, how you're interacting with the clients and just, kind of the ground floor of it. And then I love the fact that you jumped out on your own and then you were willing to work, for free, which is kind of, when I re-entered cannabis was, whatever, just like my joke was I'm the low man on the totem pole, like whatever to do just to, get gamed up. And then what we've always believed in, and they're coming back, we're bringing them back, which one I talk to, we're going to start doing them a little more. We're kind of getting over a hump on a few things, but we've believed in the culture of the events that the events build. And we think that's an important part of it. And look, we're patients first, people first, the weed for the people. That's real shit that we stand on. And we've had this, we had this intellectual, or whatever you would call it, I guess you would call it intellectual debate about the ROI on an event internally, right? And, we were trying to add people, take people away. I won't get too specific on it, who was in the debate, right? And the question is raised, what's the ROI? You're still running a business, right? And, my take on it is always like, you can't fucking just do it from that night sales. You can't put an ROI on fucking goodwill. You can't put an ROI on like all of that stuff. And look, it's always in the back of your mind, but at the end of the day, not only do I think it's an important thing to give back to the community, and we believe in just doing it to do it, but when you take it to the next level through a business lens, it's some real shit. Like it's not today ROI, but it's something that we believe in. So let me ask you specifically about, Secret Sesh, probably one of the and Kushstock too. We'll go through them one at a time. But Secret Sesh probably being, one of the best known events out there. How did you get involved with that? And then how were you able to, elevate it up?
Well, I went to Secret Sesh first when it was at 333. I believe that used to be Prince's old nightclub. And as a patient, just had my rec, walked in there, paid my membership due, and saw 200 brands standing in front of me. I was in the candy store smoking up and down dabs and looking at all this weed. And Secret Sesh since then has become a legal and licensed cannabis production company for cannabis events. And that's really when I started taking on a more staff role with them. I was always a supporter, but being a part of being as their event coordinator. And again, it came to when they wanted to do an event at Adelanto Stadium, which is my home base. Far in the middle desert. I think that's the first time we actually truly sat down and shook hands and met at Burning Trees, which was my event last year. Cool. Yeah. You were a guest speaker, right? Or something. We're supposed to be.
I did do it. I went out there. I really like Freddie, and he's like, come on out. And I was like, oh man, all right. Ready. It was a really good event.
Yeah.
But the day before it was a little quiet. Like the entertainment day was the next day. It was a really good event. But it was, I feel like it was the summer. It was like hot as shit at night.
Adelanto's always hot.
Then it's windy as shit at night. Your boogers are like, you just.
I call them the desert boogers. Yeah, you blow out and it's black. So Secret Sesh was held out there. Kushstock is held out there. Every licensed events. There's only been one in Paris, and that's the only one I didn't do. Paris Lake. But all the legal licensed cannabis events has been at Adelanto. They're the only city who said we will allow you to have our events there. And then the state then gives you a license. And this is the kind of the ass backward thing of where cannabis events happen now. I would produce so many more events if I didn't have the chokehold of the city giving me a yes or no. The police saying, "Oh, you're a dangerous drug. You're alcohol and rave combined. That's marijuana." Alcohol and rave combined. That's ridiculous. We've thrown events and exceeded 1,200 people on the street throughout the day. Beautiful events. I bring my son.
Yeah, not one incident.
Yeah, I tell the security guards at one end, this is my son. I tell the security guards at the other end, that's my son. Don't let him past you guys. Right. He just runs around fine. Going to that, like Secret Sesh was a place in which we made memories. Lots of brands could talk about their 330 days. A lot of people who went rec and are now like 25 may attend a Secret Sesh when they were 22, 23, and just, everything was fun. We had about 9,000 people at Adelanto Stadium for Secret Sesh and Kushstocks when we first started. And the big one was Secret Sesh. He loved doing fireworks. Tim loved fireworks. So we called it it was the fuck you Disneyland firework package.
I like that.
Yeah. And he bought it. And he bought it twice. And he shot it off. And it was a cool experience out there. Adelanto Stadium, unfortunately, is kind of like the desert green capital. And that's where everything is happening right now. So that's the only place I've been doing licensed events. Secret Sesh then transferred to private events and figured that we can do just as good in our own backyard, which is LA, and capture less people, but give brands more exposure. Direct exposure. I always tell brands that I consult with for events, where's that event? Where's the nearest store you can buy your brand? If it's not 30 miles, don't do it. Because what's the point?
Right.
And that's what I loved about Party on Pine.
Right.
The store was right there.
Right.
It made sense.
Right.
Like when we moved it to Elm.
Right.
And basically threw a rager in a parking lot 24 hours. Yeah. Like it was the most Van Wilder thing I've ever done.
We'll get into that one in a minute. But I gotta say, of 2022 memories, was that 23 or 20, whatever it was, last year memories was right up there as any of them. The December one was fucking phenomenal.
That was cool.
Even the one in the rain was its own cool thing. We'll go through ours. I want to get a little more of the of the history, and then and look, Santa Ana is there's an RFP process where the city's involved.
Yeah,
and you can do little ones on site, which are complicated, and we're under eminent domain, so we don't want to go, spending a bunch of money, which we're taking care of. So I do think there'll be some stuff for us to do in Santa Ana. Plus, we have that, and that's an official on-site consumption event, which is different, as we know. The event that occurred. I better be careful how we say this because
the FTP production event.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Yeah, that was it was a nice little give back to the community.
Yeah.
Show their presence. Want to do something there. And that's kind of the root of the events right now. Is there is no ROI. You're absolutely right, Elliot. Like if you're saying I'm gonna sell like we used to sell, like we used to packs and like bring cases to an event, walk out with bag loads of money. No, it doesn't happen anymore.
But I think the people that are and this is where I think a lot of, I think just generally people go wrong. And you could take this into a lot of different parts, which is there's no ROI short term, but I believe in like staying true to yourself, staying true to the people. And I don't know how that gets monetized down the line. And like, you always, like, if you're saying you're not always keeping track of both, you're being disingenuous. You got a payroll to make, you got shareholders, but it's there. Just like, say we sell our weed for cheaper, right? So the quick snap reaction to that is, oh, you're losing margin, you're losing ROI. My answer to that is like, fuck no. We're building lifetime patients that we don't have to chase around. And, same with until now we've had, growers and vendors on. And I think a common theme's been, oh, I won't cut corners to get yield or cut corners to get cost. So the guy with the spreadsheet in the back, that's, the Chad, I guess you would call him, that's like, oh, dude, like you're not getting enough weight, or like, let's, cut costs on this nutrients, right? They're seeing it on a spreadsheet, where at the end of the day, you want to have the best possible fucking product, patients first, people first, then you're going to win in the long term. And I think that's what a lot of, people, outside even the events don't realize. There's definitely people that do say, hey, yeah, I get it, this is coming. And then, at some point too, you do have to look at it and go like, oof, that last one was was a lot. Let me look my wounds, but we'll make a comeback. So the Kushstock thing, and I've been to a couple of those. How'd that come about?
Well, Caden and I have been fast friends. After it got legalized, his team of hippies kind of just fell off because it was no fun anymore. I can't give you free weed. There isn't like throwaways on the stage. Like if you look at the old Kushstock, look up the highest host, Adam Hill. He has all these shoots of all the old sessions that he used to.
By the way, shout out to Adam Hill. Came in and bud tended at our grand opening in Mid-City.
He's a good friend of mine.
That was cool, man.
Sure. I mean, these people have become good friends of mine because of consistency. We see each other, we hug each other, we spend time with each other. It's the community, right? Like, and at our events, you hope that people grow that fond memory and want to come back. Your ROI at an event isn't the association of dollars. It's the association of your brand to an experience. And not many people who are behind that metric can understand that. You don't pay $1,000 for Taylor Swift concerts. You pay for that experience.
Right.
You can hear her sing.
Right.
You're paying for that experience. And if you can relate that to a lifetime experience within your own brand at an event or at some kind of connection, you make that connection with that one person. That person can always share your brand on and on and on and on. Love about Callus. Again, when I have people come into town, they're like, oh, I'm in Long Beach. Stop by Callus. You want weed? Go by Callus. Yeah. I mean, which one? Don't matter. Like that's the case, So love the growth that you guys are going through. But cannabis events, unfortunately, there is no other way to market to masses. You can do a PAD or like a CAD, whatever they call it. I always call it patients. They're people who smoke cannabis will all be patients to me. You can do a PAD at a store and reach 300 people. And out of 300 people, 100 people buy. Or you can do an event for 3,000 people. No one buys. But when they go home, they remember your stuff. They wear your stuff. They wear your merch. They've seen your stuff. You're in their pictures. That's where you get your ROI at events.
Yeah. Then if you review a year and you taking the family stuff, memories, and then just thinking about, the fun business stuff, what do you remember the most, right? There'll be a few things that are, whatever, maybe traumatic or whatever, a couple deals, but the events, those are going to carry with you the longest. So it's like pinged in your head versus, you walk in, PADs are important. You got to get in touch with the patients, absolutely, but that's going to slip out of their mind, but they're going to remember that time, whatever. We'll get into that. Let's just do this one now because it's fun. How we flip Party on Pine to Party on Elm. And then, as we talk about the regulation, the thing that we learned that's a bridge too far, I could attend any event as a private citizen that Catalyst doesn't sponsor. The For the People event, you don't see Catalyst's name on the thing. I'm just Elliot Lewis having a good time in an event that my friend Nathan Avila and Wayne are, putting on, and that's that, right? That's perfectly cool. Where we kind of got, they were on us over there for all sorts of other stuff, a little bit that we went into on the intro. I don't know why they're fucking hating. I get it. I could play along a little more, but this is like some principle shit. I'm not going to bend the knee. So anyway, we have a Party on Pine that we're going to do it. And this is like a lot of heat, kind of starts coming down on us, right? Boom, boom, boom. They throw all these notices to basically fuck with our speakeasies. By the way, we almost got one of them fully permitted for clothing. People smoke weed there on the night of the event. Fuck you. That's what's going to happen. So anyway, and we're fine getting a little bit of heat. We kind of got a plan. And then boom, we get the notice from the DCC. And what had happened, and actually this was the coolest person. And the cool part about that actually is she's still our main contact over there. If we have an issue, we call her because, we get the letter. I'm like, holy fucking shit. What are we going to do? And we call her. She's super informational, kind of tells us what it is. And like, we could have took the risk, but anytime it comes to the cannabis license, like we don't ever gonna fuck. That's our bread and butter. We don't fuck around. We don't take any risk. But the mistake was that on Instagram, Catalyst downtown, even though the permit wasn't in that name, promoted it. And we thought like, let's not fuck with it. Right. Then they basically closed down 3 spots, wrote us fucking all sorts of weird shit. And, so I'm getting up in the morning and then I can't remember what it was. I think it was an audit or something else. And then the DCC letter, not to be crude, but I'm like sitting on the toilet, getting all this shit at like 7 a.m. So like when we finally did the post, it was kind of like a personification of the day. So this was like one of the few moments in my life. It happens from time to time, if I'm being honest, where I was having like this existential crisis, which is like, whoa, is like, and you always have to walk this line, like, my duty is to the realm, I call it, like Catalyst, right? That's my duty. And then you kind of have your own personal feeling about stuff. And then, you want to be an activist and you got to always walk the line. And then, I had a moment where I was like, man, I'm just going to turn my fucking Instagram page off. Fuck all this shit. I'm going quiet. Just going to be all fucking business, right? So that's how I felt when I woke up in the morning, because we get the DCC warning, we get all this stuff. And it's just like, hey, it might be a thing, but it's just the avalanche of stuff that happened that week. I'm just like, ugh. The rare time that I'm not like, let's go. I love going to work, right? Yeah. Like I'm ready to go. It was 2 days before. Yeah. I'll tell you, I'm off. Yeah. No, we definitely got ratted. The city's in on it. So this is it. Now we're like, we got to fucking cancel. I'm all down. I kind of limp in late. I'm like on my way in. I'm fucking driving. I'm like having an existential crisis. I'm fucking asking my wife, is this shit all worth it? Maybe I'll just like shut the fuck up. Just a temporary feeling, but like it's real, right? And you're like, what are we doing here? So anyway, we're looking around, and then we kind of come to the conclusion like we need another fucking venue, right? Like we ain't gonna let them get us.
Yep.
So how do we come to be? Nathan's off camera. How did it come to be that we get the?
So it was a growers.
Scott, our landlord, recommended.
Got it. Yeah. So we know a guy. He's probably not Mike. So we know a guy that knew a guy. So we get the second venue. We all roll up on it. We make the deal. And Wayne is able to pull this shit off like Like you wouldn't have known if that shit wasn't planned for a month. Fucking fire ass event. You know, yeah, it was great, man. Out in the fucking pit, dude.
Oh, you were
having fun. You know, the fishbone, the whole thing was great. Voodoo glow skulls, fucking crushed it. And you know, it was just a fucking great event in the parking lot, like old school style. You know, they had DCC, city people, police are fucking surrounding. So, you know, what's that like? And go ahead and, you know, if you want to make fun of me a little bit, I'm real fun, cool about it. What's it like when all of a sudden you got to switch on a dime and we're scrambling and me and Nate are like, yo, bro, this pine's dead. Let's fucking go to Elm. Like, how is that from my perspective? It's like, let's do it. And I know this just in other staff things. I'm like, let's just do it. Then there's a logistics that goes behind it.
Well, it comes with a good team.
Right.
You know that.
Right.
Like, if you have a good team, you can do anything. Build 17 stores in 2 years, you know, you can do anything. So I really believe in my team. When I was awarded by the Cannabis, CA Cannabis Awards, Event Plan of the Year, I thank my team because without my security guards, without my staffing, without my clients being communicated with me, it would never happen. So, you know, you can flip on a dime with a team if you believe in your client. You're going to make it happen, Nate. You're going to give me the venue. You're going to put the money down. Put your money where your mouth is. I'll make it happen. No big deal. You know, it's always been my model. Like, you just make it happen. If there's no way to make it happen, then we give up. But only because it's that task. Then we move on. I'm sorry, we should move on. Not give up. You know, just move on.
Pursue it until it's impossible. Right. And then once it's impossible, let it go. That honestly was, you know, from a business perspective or a catalyst perspective, you know, I think one of the highlights of the year, just to be able to pull it off, give them a little bit of a, you know, a fuck you.
But, it was great.
But while we're doing it, we're having a great time, right? They got the DCC there. Then they send the cops, you know,
on our block.
So they were going to get us, right? So we missed getting hit down there on the 400 block. Then they're all butthurt because we're putting them on blast. And then we're raging there at Elm.
So that event was amazing because you just gave me a blank parking lot and said, Wayne, make it happen. I took everything I had on Elms, turned it over, Party on Pine, turned it on Elms, you know, made it like a little old school, parents ain't home, I'm just going to throw a rager in the parking lot kind of thing. And it was great. The elation that I saw on your face while you're going through the mosh and I threw you some water. It was like, yo, this guy just threw his heart out for like 10 seconds. Like, I don't know how long you were in it, but it was a minute. So yeah.
No, it was great, man, because the low, like that was one of the lower moments where it was like, and then you know, it was more than just like I got fucked up. It's like I was having this like existential crisis. So to bring it back around and then fucking have the elation of the event and then to have that memory. And then, you know, I'm going to be honest, it was great. The cops were circling.
Oh, fishing. They're trying to get everything. And they try to pin on us. It was the lodge and the individual who told the cops, like, nah, all these fraternity parties, that's what you're here for. Leave us alone.
Right.
He went out there, talked to the cops, got it all out of our area. And so it was a perfect scenario. Like, out of the chaos, we fell in the eye of the storm and we just raged.
Yeah, that I got to say, that was just too fucking good. And then, you know, what Wayne does a really good job of too is, you know, and look, behind the scenes, I at times I'll be a lot friendlier with city officials. And this one, it wasn't one of those situations, but Wayne's doing a great job of like keeping his professionalism, and they're liking Wayne, and they're like, yo, bro, get your fucking client on a fucking leash. And Wayne's kind of like,
okay.
Yeah. All right.
Go for it. Well, here's the thing. That's where I think I came in well in my lane. Was I've always worked with the city, where I was dealing with the city, I was dealing with permitting, I was dealing with build outs. I closed down, I don't know if it still stands, but the largest tent off of Hollywood and Highland. It was for, I think, Black Panther premiere. I think they closed out the whole large block. And it was my production company, and I was the head of that production. So I understand, I work with cities, I understand timeframes. understand public safety more than anything. Will Elliot get sued after this event? And I don't want that, because my protection for me is that you do it again, and I get to provide this experience to another 1,000 people and another 1,000 people. And then that person who had that low day, that was, I don't know if I want to come out, went to the FTP party and was like, yo, I'm glad I came out.
By the way, I'm glad we're doing this now, because I'm like, let's fucking calendar the next two. I'm getting pumped up again. Things get a little tight, you get distracted, and then it's like, man, we got to bring one back soon. So I'm like, just talking about it, I'm like, and that's the cool part about events. I'm reliving it. When was the first one exactly that
took over her?
Yeah, that you took over. Yeah,
November.
Cool.
Yeah, it was right after and then I flipped it because Anna's was kind of
right.
traction.
Right.
And I was like, fuck it. Let's just throw the stage on that side and see what happens.
That was great. I would say that one was, that December one was just next level. And then
so much fun.
We had, Long Beach Dub All-Stars there. And
that one was fun because we just said we weren't doing it. And then we said, oh shit. We couldn't cancel them. I'm sorry.
Right.
And then they were live with us. We rocked out. And that's where I really am disappointed in the outlook from cities. And what we went through with the Long Beach was like their greed. It's like, yo, you didn't need that cannabis event. No sales. Most of them, it's educational. It's family, all ages. How many people do you need to see a band in the parking lot? And it's a free event. And this is not a concert.
No, it's a money grab. But my thing is too, like, I don't think it's ever right. Like, unless it's like, look, if you do Cali Vibe, you need some officers, okay. But to me, and really the kind of the end on Party on Pine, I actually think we could get another permit, and we probably will. I'm guessing I'll do a little sneak preview. I think probably in November we're gonna kick it back up with the
you heard it here first, buddy.
With the Weed for Warriors thing. They'll apply because that was like the bigger one. Now I'm getting pumped up. I'm already thinking like, we got to do another one before that. We're only in fucking June. But, the issue is what they do is they jam you up for police overtime, right? And, ironically, I started this podcast with the rant about the hit on Anna's. Was the political hit? About 2-3 weeks before the hit came, I started talking about police and fire overtime just in general, right? And my point behind that is, they're doing a study on whether or not they can lower cannabis tax, not to get on a tangent. And so I was like, I'm going to do my own study because I already know y'all getting the money, and we know, there's no money is the big lie, I call it. And there's a lot of overtime there. And then now you're doing a community good. So the police to me are there to protect and serve. And then up until we got sideways with the LBPD, I'm fucking always friendly, going out, do you need anything to drink? What's up? And they all say the same thing. Like almost to a person, if you don't have an iPhone on them, they'll be like, I love weed events. And to your point, knock on wood, we've had no fights, no drunk shit, no nothing, right? And the December event, I don't know how to count people, but it's fucking pretty big. Goddamn,
I'd say we would cap like that 1,200, and I would say if we kept the Voodoo Skulls, that one back on that street, it'd been like 15. Yeah, it would be fun.
It was and they were fire, man. They rocked it. And then I thought it was really cool that Bradley's son came, and it sounds just fucking like him, and played the Sublime song. So that's why we grew up. They were like our high school band trying to make it, and then when they made it, like that was a big source of pride for Long Beach. Obviously, we had the gangster rap coming out at the same time. So like in the 90s, which I'm a 90s kid, was a great culture. And the objective, for me, and I think the vision, all part of, Nate's vision too, was to start a full-on fucking renaissance in an area that needed it. So with a $3.2 billion budget, we're doing a party for free. This is not Cali Vibes where they're going to click and make a few milli on it, right? And they really need the people. Like, yo, dude, just send down a few officers and don't charge us for it. This is a community good. So then it just kept getting more and more expensive, going up and up. I actually suspect after they fucking, missed the hit a little bit, the charges started to come in. Maybe I've heard they charge for them, but I think the last one's like 12,000. And not to talk money, the event itself is expensive, and we don't really want to hit up the brands. Sometimes we'll take a few volunteers, and I'll even be messing with Bree, like, no, don't ask too much. We'll just fucking do it. Like, we'll figure
Can't believe you do that. That's really
well, we'll figure it out later, kind of thing. And like, sometimes guys will throw in 500, but we don't want to jam brands up either. And it's like super cool when I'm there, and especially I start getting the crossfade going a little bit. Then I always have that moment where I look around and I think like, yeah, this is cool, right? And again, same shit. The credit really is where credit's due. I don't have to fucking worry, like, are we gonna have the traffic things up? Because we went through all this shit. Are we gonna have the whatever up? Is the fucking right sign gonna be there? Do we get all the? Because it's a lot to close off a
street.
A street, yeah. But those were super cool events. And look, I will be curious. Look, maybe they end up watching this, but I don't care to put the in quote strategy out there. And I've talked to Sean from Weed for Warriors. I think he'll be the applicant, right? And then we'll have a drop that day in SB 34. So if they want to charge for giving veterans that served our country free weed, that's pretty fucked up. So I'm curious to see how that will play out. At the end of the day, I think if they make us pay the freight, we do it. Just rewinding a little bit, so as far as like the logistics that goes into it. So like at this point, it's really cool. I could hand it over and be like, run with it, right? And then, you interface with Nate, Bree, Liz, the whole team. They're rocking it and basically bringing an idea that we have in our head to life is a super cool thing. And I know you talked about the team, but like the logistics of dealing in different cities, like, so
yeah,
how does Adelanto, I'm just curious, go about, like, do you get charged for that, or how does that?
When we started at Kushstock and Secret Sesh, the bill was ridiculous. The police bill was $24,000 one year, and then 17, and then it like trickled down because you start working with the city and they start developing relationships. End of the day, they want to know if you as a producer or a coordinator is liable for what you're doing and responsible. And that's really where I crossed the bridge and like really worked well with the cities. Like you kind of mentioned in previously, it just, they believe in the Asian guy.
Yeah. Well, the thing I really like about you, of many, just the way you move is so like there's like this underlying kind of spirituality to it, a real high degree of confidence, but you're like the silent warrior that's never phased. And then like if you're walking through the event, like usually you kind of know if you go to another event that may, like, oh, this guy's throwing it, this guy's throwing it, like, you don't really know per se, and you're just walking through it. You see it kind of moving, and you're just chilling, right? And everybody around you's having fun. One thing that I thought was funny is I think we were trying to get somebody in at the FTP event, and your people are good. And I wasn't mad at the guy, actually. Everybody's like, tell him you're the owner. I was like, no way, he's doing his fucking job.
Right.
So I can't remember. We were trying to get somebody in, right? And the security's like, I don't give a fuck who you are. He didn't say it quite like that. He was polite. I don't give a fuck who you are. When Wayne tells me, it's good, right? I can't remember who was standing next to me. They're like, oh, but he's the owner. I'm like, just leave it be. He's got it right? Wayne is the guy he answers to. But I thought that was, pretty cool with the team. So most of the cities you go to, on some level, the police are getting
yeah, the city wants it.
Right.
Yeah, the city wants it because they haven't figured out how to monetize it otherwise. They give a tax rate, and it's the daily sales tax, and it's okay. It just, right now, that's basically it. Why there's no lounges, really? City doesn't know how to monetize lounges. Like, there is no way to monetize lounges. The legality behind it.
We got one coming in Hawthorne, by the way. It's about a year away. Get ready. South Bay.
Let's do it.
We won't even have to, catalyst. We won't have to do nothing with it. It's going to be cool.
Better that way.
Yeah.
Keep their noses out of our business.
Yeah.
And people ask me, why don't you have a license when throw these events? Like, you guys don't understand what costs to get those licenses. Before you start an event, $7,000 just to apply for your license to throw an event. Plus, you haven't had your first event yet, and you're already $7,000 the whole. Ask any producer the first time throw an event, if they lose $7,000 before they're out of the gate, they're like, no way. There's no way to make that back. Slim margins on your return for someone who puts the money up for the events until like the 3rd or 4th or 5th event, when you start seeing that traction, you start seeing that love from the community. You know, people start really supporting your event, and like it's marketable, you know, and that's kind of where we were at. Like we were going big. Like I was going to take out the whole block and they were going to be pissed. But you know what's the funny thing though? Everyone that I talked to, all the businesses, like, great, love it.
Right.
When is it?
Well, that's the shame to me is, you know, and not to get into the politics of it, but like, you know, they got some guy on there trying to figure out how to, you know, they pay some guy on, you know, one of the associations to figure out how to get retail tenants. So I think the score is 0, right? You know, they've spent like $1 billion trying to figure out how to revitalize downtown, like strikeout. Like, just being honest, God bless the cities, or not really. Like, they're the dumbest, most incompetent people around. If you just let the private sector jump in and you didn't fucking hit them at every single, you know, moment, at the end, in the grand scheme of things, you'd have a vibrant 400 block. Maybe that would turn into a vibrant 500 block. And then guess what? You got jobs, you got taxpayers, you got sales tax and everything else coming from that. But they're so short-sighted on, you know, getting that money. And then the other thing is that I think helps them get their budgets up, so that when they get the budget next year, they want to push it up as high as they can so they could get the, you know, get the funds in, right? Let's switch one over to just you know, kind of a like you know, putting Catalyst aside, anything, you know, ahead, you know, big events wise.
Right now I'm doing,
let's light this one up here too.
All right.
Yeah.
Right now I'm doing Zalympix, which is next weekend, and I've done this 2 years in a row. Last time I had to close down the street in Los Angeles because it's a private event. I did all the guidelines as Vice ABC and got permits to close down Los Angeles, and did private events for cannabis. Zalympix is like the Golden Globes of cannabis, and it's held every year. And I'm really honored to be one of the producers of it.
That's cool.
So I've got that coming up. I've got the network show, which is a new B2C down in Los Angeles, that is put down near the LAX. We did that one last year. With a prequel to that was the Nothing But Fire, which is another competition event that I was fortunate to be part of the inception of it. And then going back to Party on Pine.
Yeah, we're going to bring it back.
Yeah.
And we were discussing a little bit maybe about, you know, getting the reconnect and getting it going. You know, we got this whole, like, we're about to just open a fucking dumb pack of stores that's been just bleeding us down. But, you know, they just keep pushing a little bit. By the end of July, I think we'll have, you know, popped up like another 5 or 6 doors. Maybe it goes into August a little bit. And then, you know, we could get our focus on it. And me and Nate have actually been, you know, there's a couple others, you know, standing on that side of the whatever you want to call it, the marketing argument, which is like, no, this is a good thing that we're doing. We're not just, you know, fluffing off money, and not to, you know, put the other guy on blast per se, but he doesn't work here anymore, right? So in so much as there was a philosophical debate, right? Nobody's ever all right or all wrong about like, where's the money going to go? And there's like, you know, I won't put any platforms or whatever on, you know, per se, but I personally think if you have, you know, whatever X amount of dollars to put on this platform to try to drive traffic, you're better off popping it into an event and seeing what happens. And at the end of the day, it's more fun anyway, right? What's the worst thing that happens? You took a little bit of your proceeds and you threw a fucking dope ass event. People had a good time, and that shit that lives on forever.
Last year at Zalympix, I projected Wiz's. We had Wiz on the stage for like their 3 songs, and you could see me in the back of Wiz dancing like a maniac because it was this time of my life kind of scenario. But I was projected on the big dome outside, and then so you had Wiz in your brand. When are you going to put that together? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's cool.
That type of scenario is where it's kind of priceless for a brand to be in those scenarios. And only at events are you going to make this happen.
Right.
So, you know, Zalympix is one of those events that really puts it together, and that I'm excited to be part of this year. We have, I think it's Gucci Mane that's coming and performing. I don't really listen to his music, but I'm sure everyone's going to have a great time. And I like
I just said that. I was like, who?
Yeah.
I was gonna play along. I wasn't. No, they were the younger ones. Like
half the time, I don't know the artist, and I really don't care.
right.
Like I'm looking for the people. The difference, and you said something about me, like just me moving around. I'm actually moving around just to observe. I want to see different things, like different angles, like why people are here. Why are you smiling?
Right.
Why do you look like you're having a horrible time? Oh, maybe you're not, you're over smoke. Like, let me get you some water. Security, help her out. It's just, making sure that everyone has a good time and leaves safe.
Yeah, 100%. I'll usually take a moment, and it's getting a little harder, but I could still kind of usually blend in the crowd, right? Take a moment where I like just try to move around, like besides even getting up in the mosh pit stuff, like just kind of get into the crowd and have that moment where like, all right, you're not aloof from everybody else, but you're kind of on your own thing, and then trying to catch that vibe of what's really going on instead of like, everybody chatting up, whatever. I almost at every single event, like I'll break out from Anna's or, the FTP event, I was kind of hanging with traditional guys, and I just kind of roll out and I just stand over there in the crowd for a little bit by myself, just check it out. And I think you get the actual full vibe of the event when you kind of do that little mingle into the crowd.
It's part of that experience in the community. Like you could, and I think that's a difference in cannabis. Like a lot of people, phrase that, the people who are pioneers and really believe in the community and the people of cannabis, they'll go into the crowd. You're in the people, and the people who put on these events, Catalyst, Green Wolf, the people who invest into it, and put back into the industry, it is a representation of who you are, and I think that's the fun part. I get to put out Elliot's dream for one night of a party, and and cool. Liz's and the Green Wolf team for a day of the party, and it's fun. I get that joy. I get the joy of having my friends in front of me. I always tell people how, they always ask me, well, how do I get into events? I'm like, come to events. Right. You want to get into the street? Come to events. Keep working.
Right.
Keep working. Pick up that trash. Maybe one day I'll recognize you. Pick up the trash. Like, bro, you didn't have to do that. Come here.
Yeah.
Next event, I got you.
No, and I think that is for sure, like on anything, an important message, like, yo, don't be too good to pick up the trash to start, and just like, and even as you like maybe elevate, a fucking, a funny story at the old office, speaking of picking up the trash, when we moved to the old office, nobody was getting the trash, right? And so like, I was usually last or, close to last to leave. So I would just grab it quietly and, throw it out. So then finally my right hand man, Damien, saw it after like, I don't know, it was like a month of doing it. It wasn't maybe like 5 or 6 bags in a row. It's like, what the fuck? So we did a whole schedule. Like, why is I see you? This is not how you run an organization. But I do think it's important to always kind of keep that, like as soon as you can't be involved or like you're too good for it, you're already losing the fucking game.
I think that's what I love about events. It's that I get to be organized for 72 hours. And I put everything I can into the event with the crew that I can, and the resources I can, and make shit happen. And then I pack it up and walk away. I've helped, at Town & Country build different, entities of a company. Being Van Wilder is fun, just having that party and enjoying.
I'm gonna have to watch that movie. Yeah. I haven't seen it in a while, but I used to I had like
anyone who's under 20, 30, maybe watch it. So 25, I say anyone's on 25.
Well, so that's actually funny you say. That's like a huge thing. A lot of the kids in our office, not kids, young men, but they're 24, 25. They don't have like the movie reference game now. So I'll like make a crack and it's like,
well, Blockbuster's gone. Everything's instantaneous. You don't kind of remember what movie you watch between what binge do you watch. So it is a different generation. And that comes to like the type of people we're serving today. Cannabis events are evolving. and there are more professional values behind it. You know, people that work in your office that, you know, don't understand our references. And education. I think you talked about that somewhere, where education of the plant, you know, of cannabis.
Well, this is part of what I'm trying to do here. This is just like a passion thing. If people watch it, they watch it, right? If I can get a couple hundred views to get it to 400, same thing. Just start small. And that's, you know, what we're trying to do is educate and bring forward, you know, people that should be known. And then when the customer is buying a product, they should know, look, I want to ask you kind of like we're getting down here to the nitty gritty. I could go forever. This shit always, the hour is fast. What do you think? What do you see the evolution of events, cannabis events? Like, what do you think will change it?
I think there will be a lot more public facing events, a lot more educational events where people can just come freely, you know, more farmer markets out there. There's a lot of them, pop-ups and stuff like that. All private events under the radar, just because it's just stupid to get a permit for something like that. That's going to cost you $7 for you.
Right. What is the private event? What's like, if you're doing a private event, what's a good number you want?
I think anything under 200, 400 is max. It comes to operations. I'm a logistics guy. So every 200 person adds one security guard, one more staff, you know, extra trash can, extra table, blah, 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 blah.
Do you see any of the big guys like that are already in events that won't touch weed trying to?
Yeah, I think people, well, okay. So that's been my difficulty. I've been doing events for 5 years in the cannabis space. I've pretty much done every large event out there. And I'm trying to cross over, trying to get that Frito-Lays to come and sponsor. They won't touch it. They just won't, because of the subculture. And fortunately, until the subculture becomes main culture, these brands won't take it. Toyota won't sponsor. How many of us drive Toyotas? You know, like
their CBD is getting into MLB.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to be a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So
some of them might just be the federal legalization.
No, I think what's going to happen is some places are going to allow brands to, if you're clean enough and you've got some backing to promote. I don't think for cannabis events, in order for me to continue to do what we need to do, it needs bigger sponsorships. Like, unless we really work together as a community and the city works with us to know that they used to do this. Cannabis events are nothing. You pop up a park and do a cannabis event all the time.
Well, imagine you're paying $2 million in tax to the city. You already got $2 million of my money, like our money, the Catalyst fucking realm money. And then you want to charge me
right.
12,000. Like, fuck you. That's just, so like, they take $2 million for the right to sell a plant. Like, it's fine. Like, take a point or two. Like, I wouldn't cry that much. 8%, way too fucking much.
No.
Right? Yeah.
Let us, do more community events. I think there's going to be a lot more community events. Let's put it that way. Smaller events, private events, things that are like 400 to 600 people would be max. If you do the math in events, that's kind of a good breaking point. And then more educational events, more events for this industry.
I like the educational idea. Yeah. That's a great idea.
You did BluntTalks, right?
What's that?
BluntTalks with Sam Z?
I haven't done it, no.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you spoke at BluntTalks.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm a little high. I've done a few random ones where I didn't like.
So BluntTalks is another one that was reviving. It was a pre-COVID one. Right. Sam, one of my good friends, he produces it, put me on the team. Right. It is about showcasing different parts of the industry with different leaders of the industry. So he puts together a talk, a panel, that each individual has a couple minutes on. And it's a great opportunity for people to learn about who is pioneering current industry. So that's one of the events that are coming. Educational events. How
about a shout out to Cannabis Capital? You could do a good little comedy event.
Oh, Cannabis Capital has been a forefront in supporting the event side. You know how many events they've shot?
Yeah, I mean they got it. Like if we wanted to do this as maybe one day there'll be a fucking audience.
Yeah, well,
it's Nathan and
it has to go with your promotion, and your audience and where you want your venue to be. When we open our lounges, of course, every day.
Well, yeah. Well, my day was I had to go to a graduation because I was stressed out because I had to go testify. Not had to go. I got to go to my daughter's graduation from 8th grade in
Yeah.
high school. Yeah. But like, I knew I had to testify. The witness was on. Boom, that straight to testify, straight to here. So like, eventually this podcast, I want to like notch it up, you know, put a little bit of fucking pizzazz, make it fun to be in this room, right?
You can live. I definitely think you can live.
I'm just thinking on the fly.
Yeah, Jerry. It's not Jerry.
Brainstorming.
What is it? Late show it. You know,
But make it nice. Have a few brands with a little thing. You know what I mean? Do it a little later.
yeah.
Yeah, might be an idea. I don't know. All right, man. That's it. 1 hour. That's all we get in here. Anyway, man, you a real one.
Thank you,
Well,
Elliot.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Love you, brother. Man, this has got me fired up to do some events on the real. I'm glad I fucking had you on. I always knew we're like, we're going to keep doing them. It's coming back, but it makes you move a little faster. We haven't did one since FTP.
Yeah.
So we're like,
FTP.
got to get one going.
Well, it's going to come back into the community. It has to happen for the community. So that's what we can do.
We got it. All right. Much love. Weed for the People podcast, episode 7. Weed for the People. Is that how we finish it? Weed for the People.
We pulled it.